Hello and welcome back, guys. Here, now today is the official release of my very first plugin. It's a weapon plugin that includes a few guns and adds them into Minecraft. So yeah, let's get started. So it's a pretty simple gun plugin. It has permissions, a config file, and yeah, and it also has 5 different weapons. So they are the rocket-propelled grenade, an RPG, a sniper, a machine gun, a shotgun, and a pistol. Pistol actually it's laser cannon. So yeah, so that's kind of it. Simple, yet they're pretty good. So they each have their own respective ammo. And there's a command that to get those weapons instead of maybe being forced to craft them, or it's just ammo. So yeah, let's go. The ammo is special, so that means you can't just get a ton of gold bars and you can use the cannon ammo, because it's actually dependent on the actual item. It has to be exactly the same, like exactly everything. Yeah. So pretty much just go over the first weapon, the rocket-propelled grenade, named the sonic cannon. It shoots a piece of TNT that blows up, and it does damage. It blows up on impact. Aim it right at it, as you can see here. It's a pretty big radius of explosion. And what this thing does is that it just shoots the thing, it blows up. Now this has a few configurable things, such as the reload of the weapon. As you can see, the reload is in ticks, or I believe they're tenths of a second. Yeah, for sure. And 1 and 2. Okay. And 1 and 2. Yep. It's a instant reload in ticks, which is each game tick is 20 times. It's 20. Each game tick is 1/20th of a second, so each second will be 20 ticks long. Yeah, a little explanation of how this reload system works. And then the command for this gun, actually, I'll show the commands first after this one, because I want to explain the plugin first. The command for this is wp-inv. I don't know why, but if you don't put any parameters. If you put a random parameter, it'll do that. I'll tell you either give you usage and ask, and otherwise it'll just ask. It'll say that you have installation permissions, like. Maybe. So, what in Sonic? And it gets delivered into whoopsies. Oh. So yeah, like this. So as you can see here, I get the actual cannon, I get your selected weapon, and there's all the weapons, so I can stand on stuff. And I go right click, and it shoots. So now I'm gonna go time set night to demonstrate the next weapon, because it's a sniper rifle. And it works best at night because there's more mobs to kill. It's actually relatively fun. So before we explain that one, yeah. So, I have to explain exactly how this thing works in terms of the config. So in the config, this can be configured. First of all, as I said, the reload can be configurable. You can also configure the explosion size, which is the explosion size of the weapon. Right now, it's configured to default is 5.25, and I'll show you the config later. But it's a little bit special. Here. So kaboom! There goes the cow. So yeah, trooping out. This actually looks like a comet. Cool, right? So yeah, pretty much you can configure the explosion radius as explosion size. The default's 5.25, as I said. Whether the explosion has fire. So right now, since actually the last one I'll talk about is whether it damages blocks. Now, right now that is set to false, so it's not blowing up any blocks. But if it was set to true, then it would break blocks. And also, if it's also the block damage is set to false, fire doesn't work because it's not going to modify any blocks, so the fire wouldn't matter. But if the block damage was on, then the fire damage would actually matter. So now let's go to the next weapon, the sniper rifle. Now this can be good. This thing has ammo, which is diamonds and stuff. Yeah. So the command is wp-inv diamond. And you can see I get the weapon and stuff, yeah. And it actually has a cool thing. If you left click with it, it has a scope. Look at the shoot sits, and you can see what it does is that when it gets, you can get right on the mob, right on it, and just and it goes, and it shoots and it explodes. Very interesting, yeah. So the best way to kill a mob is because of the way it works, it gets a target block. If it's on like that, it's about to aim it. I was gonna say try to aim it. There, just right then. You can see I missed it. So for this weapon to all other subsequent weapons, if the attack does not hit the opponent, it is just not going to produce any effects. But if it does hit it, you will see the firework effects, as you can see here. I hit them, so you see the fireworks. There you go, yeah. So this weapon is relatively simple. There's not much really to it. It's just a simple sniper rifle. Its range right now is 250 blocks, and you can configure it's the amount of damage it does, which is right now set to 95, and the reload, which is set to 6 seconds, or 126, I believe. It's 126. Yeah, it is. So, in future updates, I am going to change this to be able to configure the range of this weapon too. Right now, it's like 250 blocks, so it is pretty broken, but you can set the damage. And yeah, so there's other permissions that conflict with this, but they're not specific permissions, they're just general permissions. Now, let's go to the machine gun, also known as a hyper cannon. This is, you can get this weapon by using WP in hyper cannon. And actually, I haven't explained the permissions yet, but as you can see here with the ammo stuff. Yeah. So, the actual way the permissions work is that, it's a permission to get if you're allowed to use the command to get the weapon. So pretty much the permission really only be handed out to people that have access to the class. Sorry, that have access to, like, maybe they're kit builders or something on a server. Like maybe they're kit builders on a server, so you know they need access to it because they're gonna how else gonna make the kits. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And to admins or people just want that just want to mess with it. But generally, you wouldn't want to give this permission to anyone because it's out to the command to use it. But however, anyone is allowed to use the weapon. Actually, it's just that it's just a matter of whether you want, who can you trust with actually using the command to get the weapon. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So this is the thing. So here's the command. The command is weapon and hyper cannon. I just demonstrated, and it shoots a snowball. And if it's something, it does 1 heart of damage, and it does a firework. So as you can see, because of the way fireworks work, it's a little bit weird, but as you can see, if I hit the switch enough times, and the fireworks come out, and
the what?
Okay, the witch dies. Yep. So this is by default doing 1 heart of damage. You can configure its damage, and that's it, because it has no reload, so you can only configure its damage. And it's relatively interesting. I might want to option for reload. Yeah, but it just shoots a snowball. Actually, the way this works actually has a custom name, but you don't see it because I set the custom name to be invisible, so you don't see the custom name. But by the way, if you're wondering, like, thinking, oh, this is gonna affect snowballs like regular snowballs too, but no, it's actually just gonna be the special ones. As you can see here, it doesn't actually change. Actually, doesn't affect them. I can just knock the spider off the cliff and kill it because it doesn't die. Oh, yeah, it died. That's just regular, just straight up just killing stuff with the snowballs with knocking off a cliff. But yeah, it doesn't actually do damage. So it actually does do damage, but it doesn't actually affect the snowballs. So, whoa. If anyone's wondering about that, the fireball, yeah, it's actually a little bit. It's actually a little bit on the way to how the weapon works. It actually is a fireball that spawns. That. Yeah, I'm not going into details of how this plugin works out, but yeah. So the fireball, ignore it. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to exist. Or for the actual, yeah. So probably future versions are probably just gonna make the fireball invisible, or I could just do that, yeah. So yeah, I mean, the fireball is invisible. That's probably a little bit thing I can probably use for future versions and a range thing. Right now the range can't actually change, but yeah, that'd be cool. It's good. So yeah, now to the next weapon. This is there's actually only 2 weapons that actually require range: the laser cannon and the sniper. So yeah. So yeah, let's go to the shotgun, which is you get it by and multi-shot. And you get the gun, you get the ammo. It's what it looks like. Ammo on the gun. And for all these cannons, you do actually need ammo. I might want to implement no ammo weight, but you can just give them so much ammo that they're not, because each shot actually only uses 1 ammo in every single case. So shotgun just shoots a lot of snowballs, and if it hits something, it throws off little red particles. Actually, the way we used to make it work was actually using a for loop to go through every single entity that was close to the thing, like not actually going through every single entity, but using a method to get all the entities that are close to it, and then simply just yeah, but now I made it better. Pretty much if it gets hit, and the interesting thing, sorry, it didn't work out very well, but so now the only drawback of using this new system is that you can't actually kill someone with a shotgun shell now. Like it's actually great for crowd control though, because you have multiple shotguns, you can hit multiple mobs. Now I just need a lot of these. Let's go. Power tool, spawn mob, zombie, 25. So you got 25 there. Okay. You got about 25 zombies. I'll show you what I mean. So let's shoot all this. As you can see here, multiple zombies. I shoot it from far away. You will hit even more zombies. As you can see, I just hit 3 zombies there, and I mean, this is pretty concentrated right now, so it's a pretty concentrated beam. Just hit a lot of zombies. Doesn't actually hit that many, but it is pretty effective at crowd control, better than most of the guns. So now this goes into our final weapon, the laser cannon. So this actually also has formations. And by the way, for this gun, you can set the reload. Of course, you can see it as a reload, so you can set it as reload and the amount of damage it does, which is by default 2.5 hearts. So now let's go to the laser cannon, which is a little bit broken. I would recommend changing this damage value to like 2 hearts. I would recommend 2.5 because of the way this works, it will always hit 2 blocks. So I would recommend having the damage because it pretty much just insta kills anything. So yeah, let's go. Whip in laser pistol, which is a little bit different from the actual thing. It's actually called laser cannon, but it's a whip in laser pistol. So it looks like some resting charges and whatnot. Yeah. So what it is, it shoots a beam that kills stuff, and by default, each detection does 5 hearts of damage, which is pretty good. As you can see, I actually kill it, but usually it does kill it. So I would recommend having the damage because the way it works, 2 blocks might check for the entity. So having the damage would be a very important factor, I would say, because you know, it might even though it might not hit it, but yeah, I would really recommend having the damage for this thing because you know. So, and the coolest thing about it is that it pierces through mobs, which is a very interesting asset actually you can have. And let's try this actually out. So that just killed like 10 zombies there. That just killed like 10 more. And yeah, really, I would say more effective than shotgun for crowd control. It's just so powerful for crowd control because it just does so much damage. And if it doesn't hit anything, oh yeah, by the way, if you actually shoot, it actually shoots a produce a little ferret effect. A little redstone effect, yeah. Just want to show you that, just like, you know, in case you're interested in it. Now that's all that's in for the actual commands and stuff. If anyone knows, yeah, for the commands and the weapons. Now time for part 2, which is how to use the config and the permissions. So yeah, well, I'll undo that, but let's go. So time for the permissions. Okay, so now as you can see my screen right now, but so here it is. Okay, interesting. So it's config. So this is the config how it looks like. This is not the complete config, but here's the thing. So every time you reload the server, you can see here. This is actually not done. That's interesting. Yeah, this will be gone when the server is actually released. So yeah. So yeah. So reload. Here it is, reload. As you can see, when it reloads, it opens up this huge prompt, which is actually just a prompt that says, it shows you all the config parameters. Because the way it works, it just goes, this will explode right here. So yeah, so as you can see here, the config right now is pretty empty, but it does actually work. So as you can see here, if I actually save this config, I want to be used, but as you can see here, so let's go. So as you can see, each of these names for the config values correspond to a config value. Let's see if I want to change the RPG explosion size to like, yeah, so let's say I want to change the RPG as a natural block file. So I actually already have it here, but if I don't want to change that, I can change that to true right now. And I can change the parameter. So as you can see here, oh, whoopsies, select that. As you can see here, this is RPG explosion, the RPG explosion size. I want to change that too. So all I do is hit enter. RPG explosion size. So all I do is just add the parameter. And say I want to make it 10. It's a lot, but whatever. And actually, I can also add ignore. Let's try ignore reload too. Ignore reload. Sure. Now I'll explain about all this stuff. So that's how you do add parameters config. Because by default, you'll only just see brackets. So say this is actually when this loads up. Say you want to maybe change any of these values. Well, you just got to add that value into the appropriate section. And how do you know which section is the right one? Well, above there's a little header that says reload for reloads, damage for damage, and setting, and other settings for settings. So I actually explain what all of this actually means later, but we just need to reload the config, and as you can see here, it says ignore reload, true, and it says okay, so that's 10. Some other stuff. It changes everything, and don't know why the RPG reel isn't actually working. Oh, it's capitals. So I would not want to do that, but actually I can actually demonstrate it right now because I have the ignore reload option on. So anyway, it should say it says 999. So each corresponding. It doesn't matter. Anything that's capital and it's capital. I'm not sure about the world though. World is probably not capital, but I'll explain everything later. So believe this is still capable of recording Minecraft. Is it still? Yeah, I think it's capable of recording Minecraft, right? So yeah, it's capable of it. So let's go. So now we go ahead the rocket launcher. As you can see, we get the rocket launcher, shoots it, and when it blows up, it does a ton of damage. This is what we configured on our settings, and as you can see, since the reload option is on, we can just shoot to our heart's content. Yup. Yeah. So I would not recommend doing anything with touching the ignore reload option, because really, I just don't think you should touch it. Especially since it's just that broken. So right now I have I'm gonna do a mob loot on. So watch this. I mean, I can literally just bathe mobs and just like RP into shotgun shells, and I can just go holy shiz, and I can just massacre everything that's over here. Just massacre. And there we go. Okay. I should deal with the actual mob problems. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of like proven that the config actually works. So let's get tons of zombies. Well, it's actually really fun. Spamming this thing. I mean, the shotgun isn't actually that effective. I would recommend changing the reload to something really low. Just it doesn't really live up to its. Oh. Sniper also, I would not recommend using that. So let's go shoot some explosions, and then we're done. There we go. Now that shouldn't throw like explosion. Now see no more items. Yeah. So there we go. So now let's actually explain what each config value actually does. So hit reload, and this actually shows you all the config values. So that just proves how the config works. So first of all, there's a reload. Now this is reload for the RPG, sniper, shotgun, and laser pistol. And yeah, simple. It's just a reloading trick. The damage is actually damage in hit points, not in hearts. So when I say that the machine gun does 1 heart of damage, I mean it does 2 health points of damage, which is how Minecraft actually works. So I don't know, this is just obviously working in increments of half a heart. And yes, you can work in quarters of a heart, but that is just not something we're going to touch on, because, you know, this, yeah. So okay, other thing. So apply armor for gun damage calculation. This applies all kinds of armor, such as diamond armor, so pretty much all the armors that you can wear, plus horse armor if you are a horse, even though I don't know who would ever shoot at a horse. They would most likely shoot at the player. Unless they're using a sniper rifle, then fine, you can justify that with a sniper rifle. But apply armor for gun damage calculation, that just pretty much means that it applies armor for the amount of damage that's dealt by the gun. Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of it. I used to have it set to false. I would recommend setting it to true, even though it's false. Now, show pi exceptions. This is not meant to be anything like important. Just set it to false. It's complicated. If you really want to see it, I'll make a video on how that works, or what it actually does. I'll make a post about it, but because like on my plugin or whatever. So show pi exceptions really don't touch it. Just leave it at false. Otherwise, it's gonna clutter up your thing. Pretty much also left some random exceptions that I caught, and I just started logging them, and I realized that if I did log them, then it would just clutter up the entire like thing. Be like, oh my god, just clutter up the entire yeah, pretty much the entire console. So yeah. I would not recommend turning anything on. So pretty much it throws an exception every time you use anything that's not a gun, and it doesn't throw it doesn't print the whole stack trace because I've set to just print out a little bit of stuff, but just set it to false so it won't print out anything. So now ignore reload. Now this it's self-explanatory. It just ignores the reload of your weapon. That's it. That's how I was able to spam the rocket launcher right now, but I wasn't able to do that before. So now let's go over to creative players unharmed. Now that's a little bit different, but it actually only works in creative, not spectator actually, because spectator players are invisible anyway. So why would I care? Who would care about actually setting them to be unharmed by guns? Yeah, sure, they can maybe be spectating, but there's just so many mobs around here that that's not really any point. So pretty much, if you're in creative, you won't be harmed with a gun. Usually by default set to true. And by the way, if you hit a creative mode player with a gun and it's set to true, it will not show the particle effect. It will not count as hitting. Though I'm not sure about this, but pretty much if it does show the particle effect in non-creative mode, they're not getting hurt. Period. Because before there was actually a really ugly glitch where it was like this. So pretty much what happened was that I could take the laser pistol and shoot someone in creative mode with it and kill them. Yeah, it's just really annoying. So yeah. Now let's go over RPG explosion natural block. Now this is pretty much like the equivalent of anyone knows about the mob griefing game rule. Pretty much this applies the same rule to the TNT that the RPG shoots. That is impact grenades the RPG shoots. If this is set to true, it will destroy blocks, and it will apply the appropriate amount of blast damage to the block. So if it is obsidian, it's not going to destroy it unless if its explosion size is like 1,000. Well, if it's like over 100, then of course it will. I believe it's like over 70 or something like that. It will of course break obsidian because that's like something that's like just involving technical stuff. So it will apply the regular block destroying blocks and whatnot. But if this is set to false, it will not destroy blocks. As I said, when I actually demonstrated the weapon, this is set to false. So yeah, it was actually set to false, and it didn't break any blocks. So, yeah. So size, this is pretty much the equivalent amount in TNT, and fire, which is if it produces fire, pretty much if it's a fireball explosion or not. I don't know if you want to make it fire, then sure, whatever. By the way, this option is completely useless if you set the damage to false. So just keep in mind of that. It will not set players on fire if this is on false. So yeah. Now let's talk about it just tells you that ignore reload option is on. And now the world. Now the world, I believe this is a lowercase parameter. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's a lowercase parameter. I'll check the code, but I'm pretty sure it's a lowercase parameter, not an uppercase one, because all the settings are lowercase anyway. So this is not a setting. This is just the fact that it's just telling that the ignore reload option is on. So let's go the world. Now this is a world that the plugin operates in. It's very important. This affects which world that the plugin checks for RPG grenades that are flying through the air. This is a world that the game uses a scan for entities with a sniper and the laser pistol. Pretty much, if you don't set this to the current world that you're using for your server, the plugin won't work properly. Well, not exactly. It's just that most parts of the plugin will not work properly. Like, the sniper will not work, the RPG will not work, and the laser pistol will not work. If you're only planning using the machine gun or only planning using the shotgun, I'm pretty sure these will work, but they could still mess your game up. So, just set this to the world that you're currently playing on for your server. Or pretty much the same thing as parameter as you did for the world parameter in your server.properties. Yeah. Oh, and since this is meant for small servers, I am telling you about the server.properties. So, pretty much this is the operating world. Just keep it as the world I'm playing out. They're playing out. So right now, the current world I'm playing out is a world. So of course it will, check the world that's in world or anything. And of course, since I'm playing on that world, it's not throwing me any errors. So now. Permissions. Now permissions, the way they work, very simple, but permissions are like, I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going with the text group test. You can see here, so it's pretty much mweapons.rpg, mweapons.sniper. I believe it's mweapons. Yeah. So I'm gonna go deop myself. So text group test list. I believe you can do that. Right. So right now I'm pretty sure I'm in the test group, so I can try it out. So So I'm in the test group right now, so I can actually get the sonic cannon. But if I try doing whoop in diamond stinger, which is the command for the sniper, as you can see, I can't do it, even though I typed it correctly. It tells me either I spelled it wrong or I have insufficient permissions. In this case, it's because I have insufficient permissions. And as you can see, I can prove that by typing /s. I can't do that. /c, I can't do that. As you can see, it says you don't have permissions to do this. That's because essentials. I have essentials on, so of course I can't even do /help. So sad. Yeah. So M-Weapons RPG. Now if I go into here, go type PEX group test add M-Weapons dots. I'll list all the permissions in the actual thing. But by the way, these only give you actually like the access to use the guns. I'll show you what I mean. Like they only give you access to use the commands. So you can see I can still use the sniper. And I believe I'm not sure. Oh, I can't even do that. Right. That's weird. No. Time set night. I can't. What? That's weird. I believe it's in the essentials, but yeah. So yeah, pretty much yeah. I can't even use powerful stuff. So yeah, pretty much yeah. So this, of course this does actually work with stuff. So as you can see, I still can use weapons. Now I actually added PEX group test. Okay. So it tells me that I have M weapons all set. But now I can go like weapons. I believe it works. Yeah, as you can see now I can do that. But if I type in weapons multi-shots, yep, that's work. So I believe these are like weapons. Okay, so I can do PEX group test add machine gun. Oh, whoopsies. Whoopsies, wrong one. PEX group test remove machine gun. PEX group test add M-Weapons dot machine gun. And you already get it. So pretty much you can just give you access to the commands for using the weapons. Now it doesn't start you from using one, which is a little bit of a shame though. Kind of sad. But that's just how it works. And I can't hit this cow. Wow, my aim is so horrible. So yeah. Now I'll show you the last one, which is PEX group test. Remove and it's the final version, which is all PEX. I should do it PEX. So let me use permissions DX, of course. If you're wondering how this stuff is permissions DX, you don't know PEX. It is permissions DX, short, test add weapons, and by the way, test dot all. So that means, and I'm already actually in the text group. So if you're wondering how, oh, sorry. So PEX. I don't remember how to list all the players. So as you can see, PEX group test remove. Actually, no, I'll just prove that they work. So as you can see, I get to whip in. Okay, I'm gonna reload first. Reload. Oh, I can't even do that. Sorry, 1 second. So yeah, so you can type whip in diamond. You see, I actually don't have the permission, but I still can actually use the command. And I'm gonna type whip in multi-shot, and I can still get the ammo and the stuff from the game. So it still works, and so all pretty much means that I have permissions to every single weapon in the game. To all of the weapons, which means that I have permission to all the weapons. Which is nice, because, yeah, all. So instead of using NAS, we could just use all, which I'm not sure if the actually works on this one, so just use all. If you want to give access to all the weapons to someone, just use all. So I also, I'll show you demonstrating conflicting permissions. So pretty much, technically the machine gun and the dot all are technically conflicting because they both give you access to the same thing. They both give you access to the hyper cannon, even though like one gives one way. So as you can see, it still works. It still works. I can still use the command, since I have ball in it doesn't actually matter because it's an or kind of thing. So it doesn't matter if I have one permission. They can be conflicting. I have all the permissions plus all, and it wouldn't matter. I would still have access to all the weapon commands. And yeah, so that's kind of it, guys. Just a little overview of my plugin. So anyone knows, all pretty much a last minute. Just anything that's gonna be changed. Probably just gonna be last minute bug fixes. You know what I mean, right? There aren't very many bugs anyway, but whatever. Just remember. So just a little reminder of the config. The config will start out as pretty much blank. And I can demonstrate that by going to my plugins and stop my server and deleting the folder and then starting the server again. Go back to title screen and with the server to load. So pretty much the config, as you can see, I actually have to add stuff to it. And that's the ultimate core thing. So as you can see here, it generates everything you need to know in the config automatically. It's a little bit slow though, but just yield. So you can see when I generate the config, it's empty like that. So if I type in, it's going to ignore reload. Where's ignore? That's false. So just to demonstrate how to do it, ignore. Don't use the long break. Just do that. Ignore reload. True. That. Type that in. Hit reload. And as you can see here, ignore reload is set to true now. So you just gotta add the parameters to the config. As you can see, it actually works that way. You know, just in case you get this error, which occurs pretty commonly. So, as you can see, when I join the server, it actually works. So rejoin the server again. I join it tonight. It's nighttime, and I can still use that. As you can see, ignore reload is obviously false. And just hell on earth, straight up hell on earth. Yeah. So as you know, if you delete your config, all the parameters are reset. So as you can see, these explosions are producing fire on their own. So that's kind of it, guys. Just a little overview of my new bukkit plugin. Bye, guys.